also Federazione del Mare. And once again, we are really proud. And I don't see Giorgio. Yes, Giorgio is there. We are very proud, Giorgio Bartolomucci, to host one or two events this year again within the 15 edition of Diplomacy Festival. And this year, diplomacy is dedicated to the multiple facets of power, looking for Kratos. Again, compliments for the choice of the title that is always very creative. Really, thank you. The concept of power is being analyzed through the entire week of meetings here in Rome. As you know, for those who don't know, the Festival della Diplomazia is an event that is now quite well recognized in the Italian environment, because they are, let's say, they are putting the diplomatic issues in direct contact with the public opinion within the city. More than 100 events are going to be organized this week in Italy, in many, let's say, private or public organization. And again, as I was saying, we are very proud to host this meeting today. And I think that when we are talking about power, no doubt that an EU custom reform is an expression of power. And the event of today is dedicated to the new European customs regulation and the non-EU countries. And in particular, to those countries part of the EURA associations. Again, EURA stands for Indian Ocean Rim Association, that group more than 23 states. And we will have that are awaiting, and I think that they will come in the minutes to come, some representatives of embassies from these countries, in particular China, Malaysia, Vietnam, Namibia, and South Africa. And so I would say that, just for a very quick introduction, that in an increasingly interconnected global economy, customs regulations play a fundamental role in facilitating international trade. And any EU reform on custom is really key for shipping and the entire European value chain, logistic chains. So I would say that today we are really happy to say that the shipping sector is well represented, not only by the Italian Shipowners Association and my colleagues of Confitare, but also of the European Association of National Shipowners Association, EXA. Here in the room, very quickly, we have the chairpersons of the EXA taxation working group, Ludovic Wies, that will co-moderate with me this debate. It will be a duet moderation, and the Ship Finance EXA working group, Mr. Fabrizio Vettosi, and the undersigned, that is the chairman of the SPC. And of course, we have here the members of the Secretariat. Thank you, Giuseppe. The Secretariat of EXA, the Vice Secretary General Kathleen Dovransky, and Luisa Puccio, Senior Policy Trade Policy. So very quickly, just to introduce you, EXA. EXA is the voice of the European shipowners, advocating for a competitive and sustainable European shipping industry. And we represent, because Confitare is part of EXA, so that's the reason why I say we. We represent 21 members, and the EU and Norway, they are present here today with us. So shipping, I would say, is the cornerstone of European security, from energy to food and supply security chain. And very in a nutshell, I would say that European shipping fleet is one of the, let's say, largest in the world, representing 39% of the world fleet, and enabling the EU to play a leading role in the global supply chain. So I would say very quickly, shipping delivers the goods we need, supports EU export and connects European citizens within Europe and with the rest of the world. And the rest of the world today we will exchange with Eura. So indeed, the EU reform do matter to us. So I will be very quickly. I know I would like to introduce you because we are really honored this morning to exchange today with, let's say, 5 distinguished guests, and among us we have the pleasure and honor to have Mr. Claudio Oliviero. Mr. Claudio Oliviero is the director of the Central Customs Directorate of the Customs and Monopolies Agency since 2023, I think. Yes, in Italy. And at the moment in the room we have Mr. Eduardo Mura. Mr. Eduardo Mura is a lawyer, business consultant. You have assisted many international Commonwealth companies setting up businesses in Italy through the regulatory, startups and development phases. So I think it will be exchanged. And we will have many others that are coming. And we have also, that is just arriving, Mr. Michele Esposito. He is the head of Fiscal Policy Italian Authority. So together with Mr. Oliviero, I think we will have really some interesting exchange concerning this reform of the EU customs. We were just exchanging before. This is okay. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Michele Esposito,
Yes.
The head of the Fiscal Policy Italian Authorities. I'm sorry, we just started because, you know, we are within also the framework of an another meeting that we are with. This morning we had 2 meetings organized by the European Community Ship Owners Association. This morning we had from 8:30 because we are working hard with the state aid issues, and we will right after the taxation working group.
Okay.
So, and it's a pleasure to have this this dialogue together. So, as we have only 1 hour, maybe 10 minutes, let's say, moment together, I will start right away, and I will give the floor to Mr. Claudio Oliviero. Please give us some, the role of Italy. Okay, you have one. Perfect. The role of Italy in this, the role of Italy in this EU customs reform. Thanks.
Thank you all. I would like to excuse for my English, but I'm not used to speak in English very often, so I'll ask my colleague to translate if I can express my thoughts. Okay. Well, if I remember well, in 2022, there was a document asked by Commission to Saggi.
To the wise?
Yes, wise people. Asking them to give an idea of what kind of development could be the European customs at the border. So they found that there were big problems due to COVID epidemic. We had a big problem with custom authorities at the border, because if everyone remembers that there were a huge needs of masks, gloves, and so on. And all these kind of goods were produced abroad, not in European Union. So we were at the border at that time, and we remember a lot of these goods coming from abroad and trying to give the fastest custom formalities for these goods. COVID epidemic, another big problem was the conflicts, wars. It means all dangers on the custom supply chain, and also changes in the way of exporting or importing. And finally, e-commerce. E-commerce, we have seen a big rise of e-commerce expeditions. I mean, last year we had about 50 or 60 millions of custom declaration for small packages. And there is a big problem with the small packages, because there are, as you can understand, when we make custom formalities for a container, okay, we have to check the container 3-4 hours. But if you have millions and millions of packages, it is impossible to check and to make the same job as we do on the container. So they gave this document to European Commission, and the Commission decided to modernize the they presented a new custom codes, new custom code. In the 2023, the Commission presented the new custom code. It means that they started to discuss it in the European Parliament and with all the member states. The idea, there are 3 fundamental ideas in this new custom code. Okay, 3 pillars. First of all, there will be a new European custom authority. At the moment, we have 27 custom authorities, or more authorities. But we will have a European custom authority that will be responsible for all the risk management at the borders of the European Union. First. Secondly, we will have only one information system, custom information system. At the moment, maybe you know because you ship all around Europe, but if you want to make a declaration in Italy, it's not the same to make the same declaration in France or in Germany or in Netherlands. So we will have a unique information system for customs. Third, we will have a platform, a European platform for e-commerce. If a big company like AliExpress or other Shein, Temu, you know, if they want to sell goods in Europe, they have to register all their branch, and they will have to make custom formalities that to the system of European Union. For what concern another big improvement will be the trust and check operators. Today we have a specific certification for operators that is called authorized economic operator, that are operators that are reliable, can be trusted by customs. So there are a lot of simplification that we give to this kind of operators. And also a shipping company can ask for this kind of certification because the certification is as the aim to make reliable all the supply chain. So not only the importer, but the custom broker, the shipping company, and so on. Well, we will have an improvement in this kind of certification, and the name is Trust and Check Operator. European Union thinks that the 80% of the traffics, of the movements with abroad are legitimate. So we must concentrate our efforts only on the 20% of these movements with abroad. And trust and check operators, we will have more simplification than today. In the new custom code is written that, for example, trust and check operator can do import and export without declaration, without passing through customs, for example. Well, at the moment, the new custom code is discussed in Brussels, and the timing is within December of this year. The new custom code should be approved. Within 2 years, there will be established the new European Custom Authority. They have to choose the place where will be the Netherlands. We are already interested in and within the 2028, all e-commerce will be on the hub, European hub. European hub is the name that they choose for the information system of European customs. This information system there will be intelligence, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all these new technologies. The idea is that the operator will have to disclosure all their information. So also the information about shipping. In parallel, we know that they are in Brussels. They are discussing also to simplify, for example, the sportello unico del mare. It means that is a single window also for shipping, as for customs. So this new hub, this new system, needs information given by the importer, the shipping company, custom brokers, all the subjects that are work or are interested in custom operation. So these are the main aspect of the new custom legislation that we will have for 28, and for 2032. There will be the complete European hub, so only one information system for custom formalities in European Union, and only one risk analysis at the border. It means also today, Italy, for example, think that textile trousers, for example, are risky, while, for example, in Hungary, no. For Hungary, are dangerous shoes, and in Spain are dangerous cheese or other kind of goods. Well, this kind of risk analysis that now are 27 risk analysis at the border will be only one risk analysis managed by the custom European authority. The national custom authorities will be in charge of all the regulatory sector of customs. All the authorizations, simplifications, certification will be managed at national level, but controls will be carried out by national custom authorities, but under the coordination of the European Custom Authority. Okay. If there are other aspects that
Thank you very much for this comprehensive, let's say, framework of what is this EU reform. If we well understood, this EU customs code reform will change the way customs authorities operate, but also we'll see later traders and manage goods. So I think that you touched the three approach to e-commerce, the simpler partner that will be addressed later, and the new digital. Give me let's say, the direct link with our next speaker, because we have decided to give the floor first to our speakers, and we will keep the exchange later. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Michele Esposito. Mr. Michele Esposito is the head of the Italian, let's say, fiscal policy and economic policy in Italy. And I'm a
commander of a special unit.
And you will explain us exactly what you are doing. And
I'm a commander of special unit that for tax and income tax and VAT tax protection and tax fraud repression. I have prepared a written document, so I facilitate my speech. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank your General Commander, General Andrea De Gennaro, and you all for offering me the opportunity to take part in this important discussion on custom matters that are strongly related with the tasks of Guardia di Finanza. Starting my speech with a brief introduction of the mission of the Guardia di Finanza, I will then analyze our role as a custom authority and the European Union Commission proposal in order to reform the EU Custom Union regulation. I follow the speech of the Director of Custom Agency. Talking about the Guardia di Finanza, we are referring to a police force with general competencies in economic and financial matters, whose mission is linked to the achievement of three strategic goals. The first one aims to combat tax evasion and tax avoidance and all types of tax fraud in the area of direct and indirect taxation. Its achievement is ensured through the execution of tax audits and controls, and as well as judicial police investigations designed to counter the most harmful phenomena to the financial interests of the European Union, the Italian state, the region, and other local authorities. The second strategic objective, on the other hand, is dedicated to combating illicit activities in public spending. In this regard, our operations involve inspection and judicial police investigations aimed at preventing and suppressing the undue receipt of public funds, corruption, and other offenses against the public administration. Finally, our third goal focuses on fighting all economic and financial crimes that could be also related to organized crime. Essential to our scope are the asset assessments, anti-money laundering controls and inspection, but also analyzing suspicious transaction reports in order to prevent and combat phenomena such as money laundering and terrorism financing. We also conduct controls related to the contrast of cross-border currency movements, audiovisual piracy, and the trade of products that are unsafe for consumer. According to the law, Guardia di Finanza is also a custom authority, and this role clearly falls under the first and the third strategic objective above mentioned. The custom sectors hold fundamental importance for the Guardia di Finanza, also from an historical point of view. As a matter of fact, the Guardia di Finanza was originally established as a border police force, tasked with overseeing the proper collection of customs duties and combating all forms of illicit cross-border trafficking. Due to this, the evolution of the legal frameworks over the decades, the Guardia di Finanza has transformed in the current economic and financial police force that we all know. In any case, it's important to emphasize that the role of a custom authority is assigned to Guardia di Finanza by Article 5 of Regulation, European Code, number 952/2013, which identifies among the custom authorities all the customs administrations of the member states and the authorities competent to apply customs rules. However, similarly to other member states, in Italy the Guardia di Finanza shares its role of custom authority with the Agenzia delle Dogane e dei Monopoli, or Custom and Monopoly Agency. To simplify, we can consider the two mentioned administrations as two branches of the customs authority, one military, Guardia di Finanza, and the other civilian, Agenzia delle Dogane, whose relationship has been recently regulated by a memorandum of understanding signed in April 2023. Within the customs sector, the Guardia di Finanza operates both inside and outside custom areas, ensuring that custom duties are correctly applied and fighting any illicit trafficking. Regarding the latter goal, the main activities carried out in both areas include combating drug trafficking, cross-border movement of currency, smuggling of extra EU tobacco products, and counterfeiting. Outside customs area, Guardia di Finanza officer can carry out post-release controls in order to check the correct quantity, quality, value, and origin of the goods. The most uncommon fraud revealed by such controls are related to undervaluation of the goods by declaring a lower value on the goods, false declaration of the origin of the goods, misclassification of the goods by using the incorrect commodity code, violation of the transit procedure known in Italy as Regime 42. The designation of the goods for this special regime permits a VAT deferral at importation, provided that this is followed by the sale or transfer of the good to a taxable person in other member state. In this scenario, VAT becomes due in the member state of final consumption. Thanks to the results achieved in the specific sector and to the commitment of its operational units, the Guardia di Finanza is also held in high relevance by the international community. In fact, we collaborate with all the major global agencies and law enforcement bodies like Europol, WCO, and Frontex in order to contrast harmful threats to the economic and financial interests of the European Union and European citizen safety. We also take part as members of the Italian delegation led by Agenzia delle Dogane e dei Monopoli, involved into the law enforcement working part in customs with other member state law enforcement representatives. Staying within the supranational framework, alongside all other customs authorities and other stakeholders in this particular field, we look forward to development of a new EU Customs Union regulation. In fact, on 17 May 2023, the European Union Commission put forward a proposal for an important reform of European Union Customs Union regulation, proposing a data-driven vision for European Union customs in order to simplify custom processes for business, especially for the most trustworthy traders, with minimum customs intervention and without compromising on safety, security, and the anti-fraud requirements. On the other hand, customs authority will have the tools and resources they need to properly assess and stop imports that pose real risk to the European Union, its citizens, and its economy. The engine of this new system is an European Union customs data hub, driven and overseen by a new EU customs authority that will also help deliver on an improved European Union approach to risk management and customs checks. European Union Customs Authority will act on the data provided through the European Customs Data Hub, collecting, pooling, and assessing all the information and expertise coming from national customs authority. The European Customs Authority will help member states prioritize the right risks and coordinate their checks and inspections. The new regime will substantially improve cooperation between customs and market surveillance and the law enforcement authorities at the European Union and national level, including through information sharing via the Customs Data Hub. Thanks to the new European Customs Data Hub, all customs authorities will benefit of a broad real-time and movement of goods. Consistently and effectively. At the same time, businesses only need to interact with one single portal when submitting their customs information, and will only have to submit data once for multiple consignments. And in some cases, they will be able to release their goods into circulation into the European Union without any active customs intervention at all. Under the proposals, the Data Hub will open in 2028 only for e-commerce consignments, followed in 2032 by other importers on a voluntary basis. In 2035, a review will assess whether this possibility can be extended to all traders when the hub becomes mandatory as from 2038. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you to you, Generale Esposito. Very enlightening to hear how this, let's say, custom reform will change a little bit the way we are trading, because really the fact that this new approach to e-commerce is really key. Each time at each new mandate, the European Commission is promising simpler procedures for shipping, but each time we are experiencing new rules and probably new big concerns and bottlenecks for shipping, but with that we will discuss it later when we will have the exchange with the shipping sector. But without further any ado, because time is key in this exchange, I would like to invite Mrs. Valentina Muizan. You are the head of Southeast Asia and Pacific Division at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. And I think that your testimony is also very important because you're dealing with these EURA countries. Italy is a dialogue partner for now since 2019 to the EURA, and I think that trade issue and this custom issue will really be very important for all these countries. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. I'm actually not an expert on customs, but I deal with Southeast Asian and Pacific countries at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And we developed some partnerships with EURA countries which are facing the Indian Ocean mainly, and also with ASEAN countries, which are countries facing the Southeast Asia, so Indian Ocean, but also South China Sea and what we call the wider region of Indo-Pacific, and also the small islands and the big islands in the Pacific, of course. It's an area, as you may know, which is economically booming and demographically also. So it is very important for Italian companies to find better ways to deal with companies from those countries and also learn about customs procedures. We are working in this sense, with the ultimate purpose to facilitate trade and business for Italian companies. So as Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we developed capacity building activities with a number of partners. For example, in this area, we are doing some capacity building with the Center of Excellence for Special Policing Unit of the Carabinieri. And even if it's not exactly customs, but next year, in a few months now, 2 important training courses will happen in Italy. One dedicated, which is the 2nd edition, to protect cultural heritage, especially from illicit trafficking. And of course, illicit trafficking impacts a lot on customs. And on the same level, also on environment protection, targeting wildlife illegal trade, which is also important to target against international trafficking. With the Ministry of Interior, we are working on many issues, among which that may be of interest today is money laundering and anti-corruption, also with the Ministry of Justice. In the coming months, we will have 2 capacity building activities, both online and in person in Italy. So this is mainly from the security point of view that we are working on with especially EURA countries. We mainly work on developing the capacities for improving blue economy, so maritime traffic, cruise, sustainable tourism, and which we'll also do with Southeast Asian countries, sustainable tourism. But okay, so in this frame, it's just to give you an idea of the importance we dedicate to strengthen the relationships with this country. At EU level, we signed FTA, free trade agreements, or comprehensive economic partnership agreements with a number of countries in that area. In the Pacific, we have New Zealand, then we have Singapore, Vietnam, which we already signed, and we are negotiating a number of free trade agreements with Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia, and so on. So, of course, FTA negotiations bring along the customs, the need to understand each one customs rule. And ASEAN, and at a lower level, even IORA, they are not integrated as the European Union is. They are kind of association of countries, IORA mainly dedicated to support blue economy. ASEAN, it's more intense, but still it is based on consensus, so there is no majority vote, there is no one single custom for trade. They are still working on integration, and but they explicitly said we don't want to become like the European Union. We like this way of being together, but respecting the full sovereignty of each country. So it is more complicated to deal, especially at the customs level. In Southeast Asia, the ASEAN customs is an integral part in the establishment of the ASEAN Economic Community, AEC, which envisions ASEAN as a single market and production base with equitable economic development and fully integrated into global economy. Let me also say that by today, the ASEAN countries altogether, so 10 countries ranging from Myanmar up to Philippines, passing through Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, Singapore, which are also member of IORA. They are like the 5th worldwide economy, thinking of internal domestic, how do you say in English, prodotto nazionale lordo? Gross, yes, gross, sorry. And they're aiming at becoming the 4th within 2030. So it is altogether, even if they are not big countries, apart from Indonesia, they will be an economic power, very important. And they are working to integrate better also their customs unit. First of all, e-commerce is very, very developed within Southeast Asian countries and also South Asia countries. So all IORA and ASEAN countries and also in the Pacific. I mean, e-commerce is much more a reality there than in the European Union. And so also their customs are working along on this. Next year, they envisage to keep, there is a working group that's been going on since 2016 within ASEAN countries, which is called the Customs Sector Working Plan under the ASEAN Economic Community Blueprint 2025. And so by next year, they expect to come out with some major change that recognizes the importance of customs to business partnership in the region and engage more with the private sector. So what I think could be very interesting is that the Guardia di Finanza maybe and the European Union could, and Italy, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, could work together to facilitate set up capacity building activities to teach the Southeast Asian countries the new European customs code, and in order to better integrate the commerce region to region, because also we are now negotiating so many free trade agreements between the EU and single countries, but the target, that of course will take a long time, but probably it is 10 years, 20 years, but the target is to achieve a region-to-region free trade agreement, so European Union, ASEAN countries, which will open up huge possibilities to intensify trade and economic activities. So I remain at your disposal for any question.
Mrs. Valentina Muisen, thank you very much. It was very interesting, and thank you for addressing trade issues and versus custom issues, and I think from a broader angle, and I'm sure that during the exchange of views with the Shipowners Association, Access Secretariat will tell you exactly what we are doing. We are developing a new trade position paper on our main priorities, and I'm sure that this will be very interesting to match. Thank you very much. But I think that without any further ado, I would like to give the floor to Mrs. Edward Moura. Mrs. Edward Moura, as I was telling in the introduction, you are the president of the Commonwealth Club of Rome, director of the Australian Business Network in Italy, among many other things. And please, in 5 minutes, give us exactly what we are doing for the business Italian environment in Italy, also related with customs too. Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence. And thank you all for being here. I feel inadequate, in a sense, to discuss these things amongst representatives of Shipowners Association of Europe, but in reality I'm just here for a very small part of a observation from some non-EU countries, which are which is this Commonwealth standpoint. Let me just mention one of our members here, the Deputy Head of Mission of the South African Embassy, Michelle, is on the table here. So we welcome that participation. And we have a great interest from the Commonwealth countries. Why? Our origins as a Commonwealth are very synonymous with shipping, so very related to, and to all these countries here, you know, a race around the world, and our countries are one of those groupings that result from that centuries of shipping development and capacity to expand. Eura, for example, which was just mentioned, is in majority Commonwealth countries, and most of our countries are on the sea. 2/3 of our countries are island states, so very much an association of countries that are interested in shipping and, as a result, trade with Europe. Coming from, since I come from Australia, but since I've been here in Italy, I was, as Lawrence mentioned, I'm involved with a thing called Australian Business Network, but at some point down the track, I look to expand the activities and to common things with what I was doing with Australia and got involved in the Commonwealth Club. Of course, Australia is one of the members. Instead, back in Australia many years ago, I was an Italian who initially got involved with the Italian Chamber of Commerce, and at some point got involved in a grouping called the European Communities, which at that time was 10 countries, and then 28, now 27, due to one of our members. But I remember back then in Australia, this customs union led to the reference, which stuck in my mind, of Fortress Europe. And, but that was many years ago. Since the introduction of this union custom code and the rules in relation to exporters, who are exporters, and environmental standards, including, for example, those new laws put through for particular things like palm oil, safety standards, processing rules. So how do non-EU countries deal with all this? It seems that the past has been these preferential trade agreements, and of course, Commonwealth countries, 56 of them, many of them are involved in that process of looking at or have entered into these trade agreements. Looking at some of the groupings, of course, we have some Commonwealth countries in the EU, which obviously don't need to have trade agreements. It was Malta, Cyprus, and UK, but now UK has having left, has its own separate agreement. In Africa, there are again a number of groupings south, which includes our representative from South Africa here, SADC, West Africa grouping, East Africa, and all these groupings have got economic partnership agreements, and many of the members have already signed, and some are in the process of signing, and we have few exclusions. In Asia, we have what's happening with Asia, as we've just been told, but we also have what's happening in the Pacific, and there's a Pacific Agreement which covers many of our members in the Pacific. We call it Oceania, and we have New Zealand involved in that, who's formed up an agreement. Canada's finalised an agreement, although some countries are still signing up, and in the Caribbean, most of those countries have finalised an agreement. But having said all this, it seems like we've covered most of the Commonwealth countries, but there are some missing, amongst which my very own Australia, who somehow, after 7 years of negotiating, still hasn't quite got around some of the issues that it needs to get into one of these preferential trade agreements. So, you know, we have some other countries that, you know, have finalised and who are in the process of adopting and ratifying, and others who are on hold, you know, some in Asia, some in Africa. But, you know, I think it's more useful for us to be here as an observer of what is said today, and to be possibly a future conduit for information to these Commonwealth countries, and to help them in, you know, the few outstanding ones who are not negotiating or who are on hold, to help them get over the line in terms of some form of agreement. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to this forum, and we look forward to possibly further opportunities where we can bridge the gap between what our members currently are able to do with the European Union and of course, all your shipping companies and shipping associations, and what they're in between that and what we're doing now. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mura. Very interesting. I think that I would like that. It was very interesting to hear your views on this, together with all the speakers that express their thought concerning the EU customs regulation and the impact on trade with the Euro countries. But for the 15 minutes left, I think that it's time before the taxation working group, AXA working group, is starting at 12:15. I would like to ask to my co-moderator, Ludwig Wiss, to start the dialogue with you, and to express what are the main concerns for the shipping sector concerning these EU reforms.
Thank you very much, Laurence, and it's my honor to co-moderate this event. I'm a Dutchman, as you probably know by now, and I'm very strict in timing. So we're already running late. It's after 12, but so we have to keep it short. So I kindly request you all to keep your answers short and to the point, so that we can make it in time. And first of all, thank you very much for your introductions. Much appreciated, and it gives us a nice overview of what we can expect as shipping community in the coming months and even years, and what we as shipping community have to do in the future. And the world is connected. We are here with not only European parties, but we are also honored to have non-European representatives from the various embassies. And the world is connected by trade, and shipping makes trade possible. And from the European point of view, we have one internal market. And that means we have one EU border. And I'm very happy to hear and confirmed by you that it is indeed the one of the main goals is to make that one single European border more one. That as it is at this very moment, we have, as you mentioned, 27 national custom authorities. But from a shipping point of view, and maybe you can reflect on that shortly, from a shipping point of view, we have the experience with the designing and implementation of the maritime single window. And that makes that there is indeed one layer which is, for the outside world, seems very attractive. But for business who has to comply with it, it's still 27 or even more databases that we have to fill in. When a ship arrives at a port, at one of the many European ports and coming from outside the EU, then we still have to provide data which can be even between two German ports, can be different. And how can you, what will be your input for the concrete designing and the execution of the review of the Union Customs Code? how can you ascertain for business that this experience that we have with the maritime single window, that it will not happen when we create one customs authority?
In reality, the fact is that we will have only European custom authority that will manage only one information system. So the same declaration you send to Italian custom is perfectly the same. Also the way you transmit your information is the same, because the system will be only one. We can see this system just now for security and safety, for customs, the system of security and safety managed by customs. Today in Europe there is only one system. If you want to, you have to send the information about the goods before you charge the ship. No, because customs could say, it doesn't happen, but could say you don't have to charge a container on your ship. You are charging goods, for example, in Mexico City. So this kind of system is already one for all Europe. I'm pretty sure, because cargo manifest, for example, in Italy, the presentation of cargo manifest from shipping company is a duty. Okay. Sometimes I know that in other member states there is no obligation about the transmission of cargo manifest to custom authorities. Okay, this will end because the rule will be the same as a national custom administration or authority. We will not able to ask something different from what European custom authorities will ask. Do you understand? We will be only executor of something that is decided and managed by the unique custom authority. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oliviero. And I was just wondering for Mr. Esposito how the from the risk assessment part, you know, when we still have the single, the one European border, and from also, of course, for the Guardia di Finanza as the Italian authority who's dealing with the criminal part. And sorry for being bold, I'm sure that it's not fully covered, but because we see a lot in throughout Europe that non-EU goods are being imported into Europe, and which are inflicting with intellectual property, for example, or other goods that we do not want to have imported in the EU. As mentioned, from the single customs authority, how does that align with the risk assessment, with the single risk assessment for all the customs authorities as they are now throughout the EU? And how would that be, from your perspective, of course, be more simple?
It's not too easy to cooperate for the same risk assessment. This evaluation will be improved from the custom agency of the member states, and so we can choose the correct system of assessment of the risk management, because every state is in every state there is a law, and we have the police or the public authorities have to respect the law of this state, and I think that it will be hard to reach a perfect system of control, but we can try because it's correct to simplify to businesses the procedures of importing goods in European Union.
Yeah, thank you very much. But from a trade perspective, it is always very difficult, and making it more specific for the shipping industry. You know, we are just the transporting party of the goods, and so for shipping, it might be quite difficult to for a ship owner or a charterer. That how do we know? How do we know if the goods we are transporting are the ones that are okay? Or should we even know? Or is it the importing and exporting parties who should be the ones that really have to check, and that there is, well, that we as ship owners, that at least we are free because we simply just do not know. It's the cargo owner or the ultimate beneficial cargo owner who has the responsibility.
Yes.
And if we look from the Italian trade perspective, Ms. Muizan, you have many contacts with foreign trading partners, with the non-EU countries. And how do you have these discussions on, because you are a representative of a European member state, but how do you explain all this to your counterparts around the world who do not understand anything about European policy and how we are looking at things?
Thank you. Well, indeed, it's not easy at all, because we have always to explain again and again that we must differentiate according to what's the trade relations. I mean, trade is up to the EU, so we do not negotiate any more free trade agreement, for example. But of course we participate in the process, so we lobby at the country level, like we just signed a few months ago with New Zealand. And of course, like Italy did, I'm sure all the other EU countries, at least that have strong relationships like us with New Zealand, they went to Wellington and received visits from Wellington, from the trade commissioners, from the designated people to negotiate, in order to explain which are the national interests. Because within a free trade agreement from the EU, which is negotiated by the EU, of course, we have to compel the interests of 27 countries. Like, as you may know, Italy cares very much for geographical indications, and especially in countries where there are strong Italian communities, like Australia or New Zealand, it's not easy at all, especially because it's the very Italian people that emigrated, that started producing mozzarella, parmigiano, and so on. But we have to preserve the products that are produced in Italy, okay? Like Central Europe produces dairy products and meat, mainly. And so, like, we have to discuss in Brussels and then with every single country our national priorities, but then also explain to the country that we do not hold the final decision, because the final decision then is within within Brussels, the European Commission that negotiates.
Yeah, thank you very much. And to what you just mentioned, and I'm very curious, how does the Commonwealth business is looking at things? You know, if I heard you correctly, 56 countries, that's way bigger than the EU, and the economic impact, of course, as well. But what do you, as a business representative, expect from the government and at all levels? What do you expect to be able for the shipping industry, to enable the trade between the Commonwealth countries and the EU?
Thank you for the question. Of course, shipping is a big part of this process for most of our countries because they're far flung, you know, amongst the other side of the globe. But, you know, other than the cost of shipping, there's different areas have different aspects which they find harder to do in this. It's obviously there's a new set of rules, and for people to comply, far flung around the world, different systems, depending what their system is to start with, how easily it is to adapt to these new requirements that the EC imposes as part of its customs union. And you know, the one thing that I can say from the Commonwealth's perspective is that having had that common background of, you know, being Commonwealth countries and the systems that have been implemented, etc., we've done some calculations at the, you know, at the top level of the Commonwealth on the economic side, and we find that that countries, that dealing with countries, different countries from the Commonwealth, once you've done one, you sort of have an advantage of doing the next one because there's so many common rules and systems there. So when the one suggestion I might have for dealing with the Commonwealth countries from a point of view of educating them in terms of this new economic set of customs rules is that apart from dealing sometimes with various regions of the world, Africa and Asia and etc., there may be an approach that can be done for Commonwealth countries which makes it economically viable to do that way, because you are approaching a group of people who are like-minded. So there may be part of the process of educating our people may be recognition of that and the preparation of something which addresses our particular, you know, set of frameworks.
Thank you very much for your explanation, and I think we should wrap up. And but before we do that, I'll look around the room if anyone has a very important question to. Yes, Louisa.
I don't have a very important question, just a quick comment, just to thank the speakers. I'm Luisa Bucem, the Senior Director for Shipping Policy in the European Ship Owners. We have here some members from our Shipping Policy Committee, and as Laurence was mentioning yesterday, we had very good discussions on our position on trade. So this is just to thank the speaker for their intervention and for reiterating the importance of trade, because for us, of course, we are the enablers of trade, and we are very committed at European level to make sure, for example, that we support the conclusion of more free trade agreements. This is also how we support the growth of Europe and on the member states. And I will stop here because I know we are late. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luisa. And that's something I would like to emphasize to you all as also as, of course, the people who have something to say to your authorities and the negotiators, of course, in the coming time to make the UCC review concrete, and also in your contacts with the European Commission, of course, in the coming time, that shipping is the enabler of trade, and that we should have the barriers as low as possible. And that's I would like to end my part and give the floor back to Laurence to wrap up.
To wrap up, just a big thank you to all of you. It has been really an honor to have you, to have this exchange with the shipping community. That was the first time it happens here, at least in Italy, so very thank you for accepting that exchange. And I hope simply that this has been useful, at least to clarify some still gray areas. And I would say that simply that time will say whether this will facilitate trade, because that is what is important for us, as it has been said, in this very unstable geo-economic and geopolitical framework. So with these words, thank you very much for being here with us today. And we are all very busy during this week of the Festival of the Diplomacy. I'm sure we will have many occasions during this week to meet again. Again, thank you very much, and because I think it's time now to start with the taxation EXA working group. Thank you.
Thank you.